Big bull Rakesh Jhunjhunwala is also speaking at the IEC. Let's cut across to that.
So I can identify a very small number of mid-cap companies who I can distinctly say dominate the businesses that they are in. So I was quite sure, I'm quite sure now, people have forgotten what a 40 or 50p means in a 7-8% interest rates. And I still hold to my statement.
So you still feel that the crushing fall, what we've seen in mid-caps in general, selectively stories are different, but as a category, mid-caps are slightly shaky and they're still expensive?
Well, they have come off a lot. So I can't say now in mid-caps for general, right? But surely, whenever we look at mid-caps, they can't have the kind of valuation that large caps have. And for the simple reason that they do not carry the quality of businesses that the large caps have, or the domination, or the size, or the cash flows. So I think at some point in time, market was too excited about mid-caps. Now that has mellowed.
You also spoke about the fact that this year is going to be a year of extra volatility. 2017 had spoiled us because we had not seen volatility. And boy, oh boy, what a volatile year. Crude has gone and done ringa roses. We've seen a big somersault in the currency market. Why is there so much of up and down in global equity markets and other asset classes this year?
See, worldwide volatility has ruled the roost. I think a lot of volatility is because the actual exchange of the assets in relation to the trading is very few. I mean, you look at Yes Bank, some 10 crore shares are traded today, and actual shares which are exchanged handled is 80 lakhs. So obviously when 80 lakhs is influencing the price of 10 crores, at least temporarily. So that leads to volatility. And also I think it's because of nervousness, uncertainty, and then when markets go down, stop losses are hit. So volatility is, I think, here to stay.
It's also that time in the cycle when we start worrying about elections. And given what we've got in terms of state outcome election results, what is your view on the market? And how do you think markets will prepare themselves for the big elections?
With uncertainty. Because I think it's very difficult to predict the election in 2019. Just as Mr. Jaitley was saying, the BJP had a stellar win in 2003. And 2004, June, they lost the national election. And I personally feel the MP and Rajasthan outcomes are very good for the BJP in my opinion. Because you have 15 years of incumbency. You have a real identical vote share. In Rajasthan, you have a history of change of government every 5 years. The BJP has not lost as badly as the Congress lost in 2013. And historically, in any democratic society, elections held, like they said that a lot of presidents in America lose the Congress, but they still win, they get re-elected. It happened with Obama, it happened with Clinton. So I would not take this election result to be the final guide to the 2019 result. I will still bet my money on a BJP government, led by Mr. Modi. Having said that, Nikunj, see, India is greater than personalities, let me tell you. I would very much like Mr. Modi to be the Prime Minister of this country again. I am a BJP supporter and I will remain one. But the question is, if some other government comes, it's not going to be the end of the day, right? Because India is a responsible democracy. And we have had no single government in power, party in power in parliament for the last 24 years, from 89 to 2014. So it's not that the world is going to fall if a non-BJP government comes. But our desire, wish, hope is that we have a BJP government.
You've always mentioned over the years, and I've been interacting for you over 2 decades now, that don't look at the news, whether it's good or bad, try and figure out what is in the price. What are markets betting on? So in your assessment, from the election outcome, what are markets betting on?
Well, markets now forgotten the election, right? The election will again come into the market's mind in February, March. And markets are betting on the fact that I think most people are taking the Indian economy wrongly, in my opinion. I look at it differently. See, we have had 5 years of sub-potential growth. You had 5 years of sub-capital expenditure, right? You have had a deep banking crisis. I think ILFS was the peak of the banking crisis. I don't see any other institution now left to be recognized in any huge manner in the NPAs. Right? Capital investment is reviving. Consumption demand is good. Right? So I think the Indian economy is ready to take off. With reduction in oil prices, the macro is very good. We have, historical low inflation. Right? We have a problem of plenty of food. Not that there is no food. In 1966, we had to beg, the US for wheat. Today we have so much wheat, we don't know what to do with it. So I think the prediction was that GST will lead to at least 1.5% extra GDP growth. Now everybody is talking of the problems of GST. Nobody is talking of the benefits. So I think the economy is surely on an upward trajectory. And I think that's what the markets are recognizing. Two things that the markets are on the economic upward trajectory, and second is there is a wall of local money still waiting to come. So on the basis of these two facts, I still remain bullish.
I would like to share anecdote with Mr. Jhunjhunwala shared with me in 2008 or 9, and he said, "Watch my boy, a tsunami of domestic flows will come to India," and I think we've seen that. The SIP flows what have come to India and the kind of domestic investor belief which is coming to India, I think is unparalleled. And for me, that's rise with India.
No, it's nothing. I think the SIPs are $1 billion a month at the moment. I think this will reach $2, $3, $4 billion. And remember, the SIP investor is not coming to make equity returns. He's comparing it to public provident fund, to insurance. And insurance, you're paying 40%, commission for the first year. And then 15% later on. So if the person who's investing in SIPs, he gets a 12 to 15% compounded return, he's going to be very happy. So I don't think there will be much volatility in the SIP flows. I think the path is only upward.
Now, for the economy to grow, and let's clap our hands for this comment and then I'll go to my next question, that the path of the Indian economy is growth. This is the positivity which I just, as a forum, as the Times Group Network, we want to bring out that be positive, stay positive. This is India and there are tremendous opportunities.
No, 98% of the money made in the stock market is by being a bull. Not necessarily a big bull, but being a bull.
So, you've always been a bull ever since you joined stock markets?
No, I made a lot of money by short selling. Harshad Mehta was a dream. I made one of the biggest fortune of my life by short selling in 92. In fact, I'll tell you an incident that we started short selling from 4,200. So Mr. Maiya was a BSc CEO. He would call me, "You are selling, I'll do this, I'll take your badge." Again, he'll call me at 3,500. Again, he called me at 3,000. Then he called me when the index was 2,200. So I told him, "Mr. Maiya, wouldn't I have been happier if you had joined me instead of firing me at every stage?"
But did he call you after that at all?
Yeah, we have short sold so many times.
Before I move into a topical question, there's something for the broader audience here. What I've learned, heard, generally by interacting with global investors is, bhai, ya to trader ban jao, investor ban jao.
Pardon?
Either you can be a good trader or you can be a successful investor. In your case, you've been a great trader and a successful investor. How do you manage both these aspects?
Well, if you have a wife and a mistress, and you manage both well, you can do trading and investing both well.
So, whom would you say?
How do you manage that? See, you keep them apart. Right? One should not know anything about the other. Well, see, investment is, a fall or rise in value of an investment, unless it is extreme or it is, some event laden which has significance. The daily values have no significance to me at all. Trading is momentum. Trading is le phatapat, de phatapat. Maro or bhago. And you have to follow the crowd in trading. In investing, you can be a big contrarian and still make a lot of money. Trading trend is my friend. And trading, the ROEs are the highest. The cash flows are great. I love trading. Given a choice, I would like to make all my money out of trading. But that's not possible. You lose money also. I've lost money so many times.
You talk about wife and mistress. Now, in trading, you have a stop loss. You can get out.
Yeah.
In a marriage, there is no stop loss.
There is a stop loss here. See, we'll have to end the marriage to know whether there's a stop loss or not. So fortunately, we won't have to go to that stop loss here.
Okay. Let's talk about the fact that you're positive. Now, for any economy to grow, you need a vibrant credit market. You need a lot of liquidity. Up until now, banks were not lending. PSU banks don't have the capital to lend. NBFCs were doing all the heavy lifting. They've managed to grow at 25-30% on a CAGR basis of 5-6 years. Given that there is a crunch happening, do you think that the credit numbers could hurt the economic growth?
No, I think credit to... See, one thing I must mention, that what is happening, Utpal, my partner was just mentioning to me, that everywhere now what is happening, you have to be clean, you have to be straight. Right? And there is no lack of credit for worthy borrowers. Right? So I don't think the credit crunch is going to be there. Temporarily, maybe there was some credit crunch in November, there may be in December. You are going to be able to get money from January. Right? So I don't think... The only thing is that because we are a saving deficient nation with a current account deficit, we need foreign capital. Right? So we have to watch that. I don't think this matter of NBFCs and banks, they can lead to a capital crunch for month, 2 months. Otherwise, people will get money.
In September, when we spoke last, you said, after years, I have become bullish on corporate banks. And you said NPA problems are behind us. Corporate banks have done reasonably well. Do you think the NPA problem is genuinely over for some of them, at least the good corporate banks?
I think the recognition is over for most of them, or I would say for all of them. Now the provisioning, I don't know how long, it will depend bank to bank. Banks, it will depend on individual banks, but you are not going to have any large recognition left now. I think all the possible gorillas in the room have already been locked.
But the way the NCLT and IBC cases are moving, there are good cases, there are bad cases. Some would argue that whether the approach, the intent is right, but the end path is still not very clear.
The end path is good, I think. You are auctioning the assets. You are getting the price. But I agree with the power, with the banks, that you cannot club the auction of 25 power plants all together and sell them at any price. Apart from that, the IBC process is working very well. If Alok Industries could be settled, everything will be settled there.
The bull run in the consumer space continues. HUL has just gone and acquired a $3.5 billion company. They've acquired a $3.5 billion brand. These stocks are trading at multi-highs despite what's going on. When we spoke last, you said, look, consumer stocks are expensive. The case for P expansion is going to be limited, but earning expansion could be there. What are your thoughts now?
I hold my statement. That and I'm not saying that P expansion, maybe I look at it as an investor over 2, 3, 4 year angle. I think if liver's P is 50 today, 3 years, then also it's going to be 50. There may be periods when it could go up or down. But, if you look at India now is going beyond that $2,000 per capita income. And that is the level beyond which discretionary spending all over the world just blows out. And if you go to China and you see what's happened to some of these consumer companies, you go crazy. So I think the market's not pricing in only today and tomorrow. They're pricing in over a period of time.
Their view on pharma was also positive. Your thoughts were that the price erosion in generic is getting over. And there is evidence of that now. But the uptick has not started. Companies are saying, look, worst is behind us, but we don't know when the best will start.
Yeah, but वो क्या बोलते हैं ना कि पहले उसको तंग करेंगे, टाइम निकालेंगे, आपका पेशेंस टेस्ट करेंगे. I am bullish on pharma. In general. I can't say every company, but in general I am bullish.
Are you bullish because you think it's a rupee trade or you think the business environment for pharma has changed?
No, Indian market is growing 12 to 15% a year. It's very high ROE market. Growth is there. In America also, I personally feel the generics market has bottomed out. And I think there are large entry barriers to the generic market. You've got to have size in order to enter that market. And Sun Pharma made its biggest money in the dermatology center, right? And dermatology at one time was such an area that people all were making losses. So this is going to lead to a situation where a lot of people will withdraw.
But Mr. Jhunjhunwala, even though we have all the ingredients of good macros now, and they were there about a year ago also, interest rates were low, crude was behaving itself, earnings recovery has not happened. And I think that remains the elusive path. And just to throw in one more number which sort of got me thinking this time is when I looked at the Diwali numbers for autos, for cars, there seems to be an element of slowdown now.
Cars, there was a slowdown, but trucks, I think the slowdown was more because of the financing problems. Consumer products otherwise have done well. Consumer utilities, discretionary spends, they have done well. I don't know, boss. The bullishness may not be in the numbers, but I surely feel we are on a recovery path.
Are you surprised that if I just look at the sequence of events in last 2 weeks, change of guard at RBI, a clear confusion and chaos on what will happen at the Brexit, big sell-off in US markets and $1 trillion market cap erosion in the Apple and the Facebooks of the world, yet market is firm like a rock.
Kya kare yaar? It's like a wall here. You keep banging your head will break, the wall won't.
So you think the wall will break and markets will go on the upside?
No, I mean, don't argue with the markets and your wife. So market mein ab kya kare? If that is what it is showing, it is showing. And I won't say this. See, the consumer products have got such high P's because most of them are showing earnings growth. I agree that some of the valuations are not consummate with you take the case of Asian Paints. Asian Paints has not done well in the last 2 years, but its price is at the top. Because people just don't want to leave quality. Anything which has given them good return over 10, 15, 20 years, they want to stick to it. And also the earnings are very much influenced. I understand the earnings of all these oil marketing companies. Then they're influenced by telco. You have P's of 6 to 70 in the Nifty. I don't know how you can make an average. Right? But I agree with you that, but the last quarter earnings were not so bad. They were one of the best quarter for earnings in the last 8-10 quarters.
There is one concern or one disappointment which market have is that when the government came to power, everyone thought that there would be big reforms which would be unleashed in the PSU space, whether it is PSU banks, PSU oil companies, PSU engineering companies. But frankly, if I look at one pocket of wealth, consistent destruction is what PSUs are doing.
अब शादी होने के बाद कहीं 9 महीने लगते हैं, कहीं 6 साल लगते हैं. So it will be there in the second term. It will. I think if the BJP government is elected, and see another problem, Nikunj, is we sitting in Bombay, all prosperous people, we want the PSU should be sold. But there is so much political opposition among the people that no, they don't want the PSU to be sold. So politically it's a big hot potato. Hoga, wo bhi kabhi na kabhi hoga.
But I want to go back to that election point, not in terms of a prediction of who's winning, who's losing, purely to talk about market. And the importance of election just has become so strong because we've seen what happened in 2004, 2005 when there was a circuit down in the market after the change of government. Then in 2009 there was a circuit up in the market.
You are exactly proving the point that 2004-05 there was a circuit down and 5 years the index doubled. The Sensex went from 6,400 to 4,500 and then to 21,000 in 4 years. In a government supported by the communists, without whom the government would have followed. And in 2009, when the Congress got 210 seats and they no longer needed communist support, right? The index went up by 40% in 2 days and stayed there for the next 5 years. So that's why I'm saying, that the markets are above individual parties and personalities. Inter-trucks along.
You've always believed in identifying mega trends, PSUs across the board in 2000. Then it was retail after that. You bought into pharma very aggressively. You were very bullish on pharma manufacturing per se. So if you have to talk about a 5-year mega trend in making for India, what is there as a thought in your mind?
good banks, I think banks will really have a come. Because if India has to grow, there has to be 15% credit growth. And out of the pie, in 70%, there will be very little credit growth, which is the public sector. And now PSUs also won't see the kind of aggressive growth they were seeing. So I'm extremely bullish on banks.
Is there scope for PSU banks to come back or they will just be trading bounces?
अरे मैं बोलता हूँ शादी कर लो किससे करना है आप चूज करो यार.
You're stressing a lot on marriage and mistresses today. Why is that?
बीवी से बहुत मार पड़ी है ना सुबह सुबह.
In 2014, and pardon me, I'm just talking a lot of history here because, I've had the pleasure of interacting with him for the last 20 years. So, I can connect a lot of dots for everyone here. In 2013-14, and pardon me if I remember a lot of our conversations, you said, boss, इतना सस्ता मार्केट हो गया कि चोरी का माल ऐसा लग रहा है चोरी का माल
बीवी का बांगड़ बेच के शेयर
बीवी का बांगड़ शेयर ले लो. So would you like to do that? Would you advise anyone to sell?
सब बेच दिया अभी बीवी का बांगड़ ही नहीं है. So I don't think market is so cheap as it was in 2013. Even in 2013 we would say ina, mina, mainamo and buy whatever it stopped on. Right? But now I don't think market is so cheap that I would say sell your wife's bangles and buy shares and got to be careful.
A question for SIP investors, and we are very proud to again, champion the culture of SIP investing at ET now. A lot of people, they keep on asking us, sir, election aane wala hai, kya kare? Midcap mein 10% SIP gir gaya, NAV gir gaya, kya kare? What is your message for an investor who just taken a leap of faith and is doing his SIP on a monthly basis?
See, don't expect a return of more than 12 to 18% from equity markets. This is not the Mahalakshmi discourse. And if you invest in a SIP, I am confident over a period of 8, 10, 15 years, you will get it. And don't try to be over smart, right? And I think SIPs should form an integral part of everybody's savings.
You have 99% or 99.9% of your wealth in equities, if my numbers are right. But for an average Indian, how much allocation should be there in gold and other non-equity assets?
वो IFL वाला आएगा ना wealth management वाला उसको पूछना ना यार.
So if that IFL,
मेरे पास तो IFL वाला आता है, any wealth management fellow, I said the problem is not the management, the problem is the wealth यार. Get me the wealth, he'll manage it.
I'm not going to get into discussing your book or what you're doing in a trading book, but in terms of your level of commitment, are you fully invested?
Always. ब्याज नहीं भरते तो रात को नींद ही नहीं आती है.
But suddenly you'll have to pay long-term tax now.
Huh?
Suddenly, after the taxation structure, you'll have to pay long-term tax now.
So we'll pay. I don't mind paying taxes here. What's really? I don't grudge the capital gains. What's wrong? And उसकी रो के भी होगा क्या मिलने वाला थोड़ी कोई है. भरना ही पड़ेगा तो खुश होके भरो.
What is easy to predict, market volatility or mood of a teenage daughter?
Well, more difficult to predict my daughter's reactions. And then she can always, she's my only princess, so she can always emotionally blackmail me. Yeah.
I need to call Mr. Jhunjhunwala today because the amount Mr. Jhunjhunwala is referring to his wife today is extraordinary. I've interacted with him so many times, but trust me, never talks about his wife so many times.
Hey, don't tell her I talked about my mistress also.
When you just walked in, first there were men, then there were girls, and there were pretty girls, they started taking pictures. You do a show with us every year with a Bollywood actress. How do you feel getting recognized? Getting recognized by a Bollywood actress, pretty girls. I mean, they are telling you, Rakesh, can I take a selfie with you? Nobody is saying Rakesh, Rakesh Bhaiya.
It doesn't matter. I have loved one woman in my life, and I will never love another one. So it makes no difference to me.
If there is one thing you would like to not change about yourself and one thing you would like to change about yourself, what would that be?
My personal habits. I wish I had never smoked a cigarette, never drank a peg of whiskey in my life. Yeah. If I was able to do that, I was the greatest man on earth. Yeah. The happiest man.
But what is that one thing you would not like to change?
Not like to change. I think I would like to take success with all humility. And we got to emphasize with people, not sympathize. And we must realize that all success is temporary and transient. It should not change us as humans. We should treat everybody the same way as we were before God gave us any success. I think that's most important. And we must realize that this is transient and temporary. What I mean to say is that success should not change us. And another thing is that, I think that's one thing which I would never like to change. And always never forget hum kaun, Rakesh Jhunjhunwala Share Bazaar Road Shop. Never forget your rusticness. Don't try to be what you are not. And don't try to act too sophisticated.
Let's put our hands together for this. We always tend to measure Mr. Jhunjhunwala in terms of his successful investment, his stock market career, but trust me, he's one of the most nicest person I've interacted with.
No, one thing also I want to add, Nikunj, that what happens, the worst of the mistakes are always made in the best of the times. So when your success comes, don't extrapolate it. That's always going to be the same. In Harshad Mehta's time, if I could short sell and earn 50 crores that time, every year is not Diwali. You realize once a lifetime chance. And don't think that I can earn that kind of money every year. Don't extrapolate your success. Always be paranoid about it. Remember, it can be temporary and transient. And you are not what you are because what you are. You are what you are because God chose you to be what you are. So remember, it's all His doing.
Okay, I've been told that I need to wrap now. I would have loved to go, much more and get more interesting insights from Rakesh Jhunjhunwala. But a question for the audience. How many of you have seen Sanju?
Have some?
Sanju, the movie Sanju. So, now if a movie has to be made on you, your biopic, whom do you think should be the actor?
Actors का बोलना actor का क्या है? Actor तो मैं हूँ ना.
Sir,
actor, I want to choose Sharmila Tagore.
Oh, wow. So next
in
time.
our youth, picture तो कभी बनने वाली नहीं है ना. Imagine तो कर ही सकते हैं. ऐसे Sharmila Tagore in our youth here.
My producer is here. He normally sets up all those interviews with actors which we do every year. So this year, next year, we'll try for Sharmila Tagore, not Deepika Padukone.
क्या फर्क पड़ता है?
So we'll wrap it up, Mr. Jhunjhunwala. Thank you for your encouraging words.
They call me Rocky, Rakesh. Mr. Jhunjhunwala.
I'll leave that on Aisha, but let's say if Aisha just walks in and says, Nikunj started with the market view, but Aisha says, sir, ek tip to dete jao jaane se pehle.
Tips are hazardous for health.
He said no banks.
No, actually what happens...
Read between the lines, Nikunj.
No, suppose I tell you something.
You know him far longer.
No, first of all, you can't make money on borrowed knowledge. I give you some tip, you go and buy it. Some circumstances change. I'll sell. Where will I remember? मैंने किस को बोला था? कहाँ का बोला था? God, tell you that's a real. And then you have SEBI. If I recommend something, they will come with their big magnifying glass. Notice दो इसको. इसने recommend किया, share बेचा. Then you have to spend 50 lakhs of the lawyer, 5 months in a year. So why give any recommendations? Yeah.
But banks look good to you.
Yeah, I think banks look good.
I told you.
All right, sir. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us. Let's put our hands together for Rakesh Jhunjhunwala.